gusts reaching up to 235 miles per hour. Buildings are now mangled piles of wood and metal, well above the threshold of a Category 5 hurricane. All many can do is simply pray.
Typhoon Haiyan, also known as Yolanda, was the biggest typhoon or hurricane to ever make landfall in the history of this earth. After 2 or 3 days, the news reports were saying, "Where's the relief?"
The thought crossed my mind was, you could probably go over there and do some good because you speak the language. You're an EMT, you've been in construction.
I started contacting some people in the Philippines, trying to figure out if this was even possible, if there was any way to get onto the island, if there was transportation, or if that would be even worth it. Once I realized that this was something that could happen, I branched out using Facebook, calling people and those I knew at school.
I already knew he was thinking about leaving. And then when I saw his post, I was already committed to going.
In response to that Facebook post, a friend of mine, Preston Olson, he responded and said, "Hey, I want to go."
It was basically just an announcement. Hey, I'm going. If you want to donate anything, get it to me before this day because this is when we're leaving.
And there was an outpouring. There was over $10,000 donated to this cause. Just a matter of days.
When we got over there, really everything did fall into line.
I went straight to Cebu and landed about midnight on Saturday night.
When we got to Manila, we had no way of contacting Preston. So when we did arrive in Cebu, we bought rice, canned sardines, water, and started building relief goods. We went to a local church there where the members had just finished with their services, and they helped us wrap all the relief goods into sacks that would be distributed to family units.
I decided to go to church, and a group of EMTs that were based out of Manila walked in partway through the meeting. I decided to go and talk to them and see what their plan was, and I ended up teaming up with them.
I went back to a computer shop, and Preston had messaged me on Facebook, and he said, "Hey, I'm in Cebu, here's my phone number."
I finally did get the call from Charlie.
Preston and the EMT group showed up with a truck, and we loaded all our relief goods onto that truck. And about 2 or 3 a.m. we got up in the morning and headed to the port. We ended up in Ilongos, which is the south point of Leyte. And down there wasn't very much damage, there wasn't very much destruction.
But as we got closer and closer to the two cities of Tolosa and Tanawan, you could start to see just how destructive the storm was.
There was this gradient of destruction. Eventually it got to the point where there was nothing standing.
Everything was just barren. There was nothing. There was no life. There was no energy. There was no noise.
There were no birds chirping. There was just destruction. We couldn't help everyone. And so our strategic plan was to get to the city hall of the outlying towns and be able to coordinate efforts with the local leaders there to be able to distribute as much relief goods as we could.
The people that we were passing were very somber.
There were people standing on the side of the road with their hands out.
Just sad and devastated. And it got worse the closer we got to the two cities.
And that was such a wake-up call to me, to see those people without anything. Just pleading for the basic necessities of life. And what was worse is we couldn't stop, we couldn't help them.
When we got off the bus in the city of Tanawan, and the people saw that we did have relief goods and that we were a medical relief team, their demeanor changed almost immediately because they knew that help had arrived.
We were the first relief group there in the outside cities.
Fortunately, there were just a few buildings that were left standing, one of which was a local church where many people had come and taken refuge. When we arrived, we distributed our relief goods within the city and then around the chapel. And we also bandaged up injuries and whatnot.
We would pray, but instead of passively waiting for God to tell us the next step, we would just continue to take action after action, and we were constantly led to the right place that we needed to be.
It got to the point where I knew that I wasn't the one in charge, that the EMT leader wasn't in charge. I knew that as we put our trust in God, He was going to make it happen the way that He wanted it to. All that was required of me was just to invest everything that I had. And I did. And his will was accomplished.
I think it kind of turned all of our lives around. It changed my faith in myself, realizing that I can choose to do a hard thing and God will make up the difference.
My confidence in God is completely unshakable now. I'm certain that if it's his will for something to happen, it will happen.
And it built my faith, knowing that God loves his children. No matter what has happened to them, he loves his children and he will take care of them.
I wrote out this plan on a piece of paper, and right when we got there, we realized that that plan was going out the window, and it was God's plan. It begins with faith, a decision to act and to do, and then to trust in God that he'll guide us to do the right thing.